So this morning, we're going to be in this series called Renew. And so we're going to be talking about, as we're looking at some different things, 2017 has been an interesting year. Not only for probably you individually or for me personally, but also just for a couple of other areas and other things in our lives. If you look in pop culture as a whole, or in our culture in 2017, it's been an interesting year. There's been all kinds of ups and downs and all these different things that have happened. You've got stories. These are some of the big news stories this year. I used the reliable source called the internet this week, and so I Googled 2017 stories, and so these are some of the highlights from 2017 according to the resource called Entertainment Tonight. And so these were kind of some of the things that popped up. So in 2017 we saw that Beyonce got pregnant with twins. If you know who Beyonce is, we found out that she was pregnant earlier this year. If you are a big fan of La La Land or Moonlight, if you saw either one of those movies, there was a huge mix-up at the Oscars where they announced that La La Land won Movie of the Year, I think it was, and it was actually Moonlight that won. We saw that. We saw a number of celebrities get divorced, a number of celebrities be divorced and married, and all kinds of different things happening there. We found out, if you're familiar with the show Dance Mom went to jail this year. You know who Dance Mom is? And so she went to jail this year, which is a good thing because I hate that show. And so we thought the Kardashians are in the news always, right? Prince Harry got engaged earlier this year. My two oldest daughters love the idea of Prince Harry, and I don't get it because we don't live over there, but they love it, right? We saw a solar eclipse this year for the first time. So 2017 has been an interesting year. But then on a serious note for 2017, we've seen things like there's been terrorist attacks all around the world. Like at this enormous volume or enormous rate, we've seen all of these terrorist attacks. We had the Las Vegas shooting and what happened in Las Vegas. There's been all these sexual harassment charges that have been filed against all these Hollywood stars and Hollywood people and all of this stuff that's happened. President Trump was sworn in this year. Whether you like him or don't like him, I just encourage you to continue to pray for him, right? And so he was sworn in this year. We saw Florida was wrecked by Hurricane Irma. Puerto Rico was wrecked by Hurricane Maria. Texas was wrecked by Hurricane Harvey. We saw all this destruction, right? We got North Korea over testing missiles and doing all kinds of crazy stuff over there. And so 2017 has been a pretty crazy year, just in the news in general. And like when I look at it from a personal standpoint for me, when I look at 2017 and from a personal standpoint for me, it's been a year, if I had to define it by a word, I would use the word transition. It's been a year of transition for us personally, or for me personally. It's been a transition for us as a family. It's been a transition for us corporately as a church. So I was working part-time. Many of you guys know this, and I'm bivocational, and so I was working part-time for Fellowship of Christian Athletes and was working part-time for them, covering the North Lakeland area, but felt like it was taking too much of the time away from the church. And so I stepped down from Fellowship of Christian Athletes in January and just started doing some consultant work on the side for an old company that I used to work for because it gave me more time. And so there was a transition there. We saw Kim's work has had some ups and downs and some transitions there. We moved Leslie to Atlanta this year, right? And she was gone all summer. There's been just lots of transition. And then even for us as a church, there's been lots of transition as we got here at the school and kind of started to put our roots down this year at North Lakeland Elementary. And then God's blessed us with the potential for a building that we're working on and we're trying to raise money to move into, and we're just kind of waiting on that. So we should hopefully close here in the next couple weeks. That will happen. And so we've been waiting on some things from the real estate attorney and some stuff, and so we'll close on the building in a couple weeks, and then we're just in the midst of raising the money that's needed in order to make the improvements to that. So it's just been a year of transition, a year of ups and downs and good and bad and ugly and everything in between. And so I'm excited about this year and what this year has been, but I'm more excited about what 2018 could potentially look like. And so what about you? What about you and what you have going on? What you have going on in 2017? How does 2017 rank for you? That if you had to describe 2017 in one word, what would that one word be? Would it be challenging? Was 2017 challenging for you in certain areas of your life? Was 2017 surprising? Were there some things that happened in your life that came unexpected? Some things that maybe you weren't expecting to come, and there were some surprises there in 2017. Maybe 2017 has been a lonely year for you. Maybe you've been by yourself most of the year. Not a whole lot of relationships, not a whole lot of friendships. Maybe 2017 has been lonely. Maybe it's been a social year for you where you've had lots of friends and lots of things to do, and you've been busy and on the go. Maybe 2017 has been exciting for you. Maybe it's been comfortable. Maybe it's been inspiring. Maybe it's been active. Maybe it's been an absolute disaster. Maybe it's been rewarding. Maybe it's been adventurous. Maybe it's been romantic. Maybe you found the love of your life this year. Maybe it's been spiritual from the standpoint that you grew in your faith this year. Whatever it looks like, if you had to give 2017 a word, what would it be? Every year I try to start the year out with a word. Like, this is my word for the year. And it may be cheesy and it may be corny, but it kind of helps me stay focused this year. And so my word for 2018 as we move in is focus. Like, I just want to stay focused on what God has for me individually, for me as a husband and a father and as a pastor of CityPlace. And so what does that look like for me? And so focus is my word. And so it just helps, right? I had a pastor a long time ago that said, hey, pick a verse for the year, and that's your verse for the year. Like, you hold on to that verse all year long. And so I've always taken it from the stretch of not only having a verse for the year that I use to inspire me, encourage me, whatever that looks like, but also a word of the year. And so over the next couple weeks, we're going to be talking about what does it look like for us to renew things. That we're going to look at certain aspects of our life. We're going to look at maybe relationships and finances and our marriages or what our friendships, different things in our life. We're going to look over the next few weeks. What does it look like for us to renew certain areas of our life? How do we get to start fresh in 2018? How do we get to start something new in 2018? But today, I just want to focus on the idea of what does it look like for us personally. To renew ourselves, to renew our strength. Not in ourselves, or not in our spouses, or our kids, or our family members, or other people, but what does it look like for us to renew our strength in the Lord? What does it look like for us to renew our strength in Him? So you guys know that I love definitions. I love to give you the definition of the word that we're focusing on for the series or for the week, because I think it helps us stay focused. And so as we talk about renew, here's what renew means. It means to restore or replenish. It means to revive. It means to reestablish. To restore or replenish, or to revive or to reestablish. To renew something, to renew our lives, to renew certain things. And we may hear it and think about it from the idea of maybe if you rent a house and you got to renew your contract, or you got to renew your lease, or you got to start fresh, you got to make something new. But as we talk about it in the context of today, I believe that sometimes in our lives that we just kind of feel weak at times. That we feel like maybe we want to give up, that we feel like we can't really go on anymore, that we feel like things have just been tough. If 2017 has been a tough year for you of ups and downs and good, bad, and ugly and everything in between, that there may be days that we just want to give up. There may be days that it only lasts an hour. There may be days that it lasts a couple weeks. There may be days that it lasts longer than that. But either way, I believe that there will be times in our lives where we just want to quit and we just want to give up. And so this week, as I was working on things and putting my message together, the idea or the question in my head came, is God enough? Like, is God enough for me? And if you are a follower of Jesus and you're a believer in Him, then that's a question that maybe you can legitimately ask yourself. If you're not a believer in Jesus or a follower of Him, then maybe that's a question that you're not ready to answer just yet. But is God enough for us? And it's something that we're going to look at today. And so if you have your Bibles, you can turn to the book of Isaiah. We're going to be in the book of Isaiah today. If you don't have a Bible, it'll be up on the screens. It'll be up on the screens for you. You'll see that there. So whether you're using a device or your Bible, whatever that looks like, we're going to be in Isaiah chapter 40 today. And Isaiah is an interesting story, right? Isaiah is an interesting story. As you're turning there, Isaiah is this prophet in the Old Testament. Isaiah is this prophet that God has deemed and has given the ability and said, hey, this is your job, this is your missions. I want you to go and I want you to speak to the people in Israel. And there's some condemnation that comes down, and there's some accountability that comes down, and there's some comfort that comes down. But as Isaiah, as a prophet, as a mouthpiece for God, is speaking to the people in Israel, you get to chapter 40, and if your Bible's like mine, it has a title over the top of it. Mine says that this is comfort for God's people. And Isaiah just begins to speak truth over the people of Israel. He just begins to encourage them. He just begins to talk to them. He begins to tell them who God is. And he starts out in verse 1 just by saying, comfort, comfort my people, says your God. And he just goes on talking about how God's word stands forever. But for today, we're going to focus on just a couple of verses. So in Isaiah chapter 40, starting in verse 27, here's what it says. It says, why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord, and my right is disregarded by my God. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. And so how do we renew our strength when we are down? How do we renew our strength as we move into 2018? I believe that before we can renew a relationship, before we can renew our finances, before we can renew whatever aspect of our life it is that needs to be renewed, before we can do that, we have to understand who God is. We have to understand that He is our strength. We have to understand that that's where our strength comes from. Because if I can't renew my relationship or my marriage with Kim, like even though we've been together a really long time, it's still great to renew things from time to time, to continue to, as you hear it, always date your spouse, right? I can't renew my finances. If I just try to take control of my own finances and don't do my finances God's way, they're going to be a mess. If I can't renew this or renew that or renew anything, any aspect of my life that may need renewing without doing it through God's filter and through what God desires for my life. And so that's what we're looking at today. But how do we renew our strength that when we're down? But here's one of the ideas, is that even though you may be down today, you're not out, right? Even though you may be down today, you're not out, because God loves you. God has a plan for you. There's something that God desires for our lives. And he starts off in verse 27. He begins to tell the people in Israel, why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord, and my right is disregarded by God. He's asking the people of Israel, why are you complaining? Why are you whining? Why are you complaining about that God's lost track of you, that maybe God doesn't see you, that God has lost track of who you are, right? That God doesn't really care about you. Like, why are you thinking that way? Why have you lost track that way? Why are you thinking this way, O Jacob, O of Israel, speak, O Israel? You ever been there? Ever felt like at a time that whatever season you may be going through, sometime through 2017, that God's forgotten about you, that God's disregarded you, that God's not hearing you, that God's not listening to you? That you're praying, you're asking, you're reaching, you're praying to Him, and there's just nothing coming back. It's silence somehow. Isaiah is saying, why? Why are you saying these things? And then he asks this question in verse 28. He says, have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men shall feel exhausted, but They who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength, and they will mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. Isaiah begins to ask this question, hey, why are you complaining? Why are you thinking that God's disregarded you? Why do you think God's forgotten about you? Like, why are you thinking these? Why are you asking these questions, Israel? Because do you not know that God is the everlasting God? And so this morning I want to give you three ideas. Three ideas that are pulled from this scripture. Three ideas of what we have there. And the first one is this, is that the Lord is everlasting. That the Lord is everlasting. To look at the term everlasting means eternal. It means there is no beginning, there is no end. That God is eternal. He is always there, always will be, will never leave you, will never forsake you. He's always there. He's never going anywhere. He is the everlasting God. He will be there. He's always been there, and He will always be there. That if you look at it in the Hebrew terms, the name for that is El Alone. O-L-A-M, El alone. That it means everlasting God. It's one of these secret names for God. That it kind of hints a little bit to His mysterious nature. Because the prefix El comes from Elohim, which means strong creator, and Elohim or Elam means time or age. So it's this idea that God has this everlasting or timeless nature without beginning or without end. That He is always there. That you can always count on Him. And it's the first thing that Isaiah starts with. As Isaiah begins to encourage the people of Israel and even encourage us now, he begins to say, hey, why are you questioning God? Why are you questioning all these things that are happening? Because don't you know, haven't you heard that God is the everlasting God? That He is the creator of everything. Why have you lost sight of that? That God is always available to His people throughout the ages. That He's always there. So the Lord is everlasting. The second idea is that He gives us power. And so the Lord is everlasting. The second idea is that He gives us power. It says in the scripture as we read that he does not grow faint or He doesn't grow weary, that His understanding is unsearchable. You ever felt tired? You ever felt wore out? Ever felt like you can't go on? Ever feel like, man, I don't want to do tomorrow? Like I just want to stick my head underneath the pillow? Or as Kim and I say, I don't want to adult today. I'm just going to pull the covers over my head, right? Ever felt that way? As Isaiah is writing this, before he tells the people of Israel the power that comes from God, he tells them, hey, He doesn't grow faint. He doesn't grow weary. He never gets tired. He's everlasting. He's always there from the beginning to the end. He never leaves you. He never forsakes you. And He never gets tired. He's never weary. He's not surprised by what's happening in your life right now. You may be, but He's not. He knows. That He never grows weary. He never grows tired. And that His understanding is unsearchable, which means to me that we can't understand God's ways. That we can't understand who He is. We don't know what He's thinking. We don't know what He's doing. Ever had something happen in your life? You're like, why is this happening? Even if it was for the good, you're like, I don't get this. Like God's ways are unsearchable. Like we can't understand who God is. If we could, then He wouldn't be God. And so Isaiah sets all of this up to tell us, hey, listen, He's the everlasting God. He has all these things and all these qualities. But by the way, He gives power to the faint. And to him who has no might, He increases their strength. That He gives power to the faint, to the weak, and to the feeble. That this is one of His attributes. And this is one of His attributes towards His people. That if we would just put our trust in Him, that He would aid us, that He would help us. But so often in our lives, we don't put all of our trust in Him. We put some of our trust. Like we talk about it all the time here at CityPlace, and the idea that God, you can have some of my life, but you can't have all of my life. Like you can have part of this, you can have part of my finances, but you can't have all of my finances. You can have this part of my marriage, but you can't have all of my marriage. I'm going to parent my kids this way, but like we give God some of our life, but not all of our life. But here Isaiah says, man, he gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases their strength. That if we would just put all of our trust in God, if we would just put all of our love and our devotion, if we would love the Lord our God with all our heart and all our soul and all our strength and everything that he gives us, he gives us power. I don't know about you guys, but I know often in my life that there are times where I don't feel like I can go on. There's days that I don't want to adult. There's days that I don't want to do certain things. I'm always really transparent with you guys, but to read this is an encouragement. This is one of my verses a few years ago, this section of verses. That to know that my strength comes from him. Like so often, we just want to do things in our own power because we got it figured out and we know what to do, and I'm tired of waiting and all these things, and so I'm just going to take control because that's who I am, and I'm just going to move forward. But Isaiah says, man, to the weak and to the feeble and to those that are weary and for those that are tired, man, God will renew your strength. God will give you power in that. In 2 Corinthians, this won't be on the screen, but in 2 Corinthians, in chapter 12, verses 9 and 10, it says this. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then I am content with weakness, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Paul was writing that in 2 Corinthians, just talking about the power that is in Christ. That my grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in your weakness. It's Jesus speaking. Say, man, in your weakness, when you don't feel like you can go forward, when you feel like, man, 2017, I just want to rewind the tape and start that year over. Well, you get a new chance. It's called tomorrow, 2018, right? But if you do the same things and rely on the same sources and do the same stuff in 2018 that you did in 2017, 2018 isn't going to look much different. That's why we're thinking through this series and this idea of how do we renew things? How do we start fresh? How do we do some things differently? How do I tweak or change some things in my life so that I can renew certain things? You know that area of your life that may need to be renewed. Maybe you have 1, maybe you have 10. I don't know. But we all know an area in our life that needs to be renewed. But when we know that in our weakness and that we can't do certain things and we don't feel like we can go on, Paul is telling us, Corinthians, Isaiah is telling us in his book, that we have the opportunity to know that in our weakness God gives us power. And that God gives us strength. The third idea is that he will renew our strength. So he is the everlasting God, or the Lord is everlasting. He gives us power and he will renew our strength. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. And then in verse 31 he says, but they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. The key to that whole verse, the whole key to him renewing your strength, the whole key to you soaring like an eagle, the whole idea of you not being weary and you not being faint and not being tired is the beginning of it, where it says, wait on the Lord. That they who wait upon the Lord. And when you look at the context, and you guys know me, I'm not one to say, hey, the old school Hebrew says this, and this old word means that. But occasionally I'll just give you something as an idea or as a nugget, so to speak. But this idea, when Isaiah is writing this and he says, they who wait upon the Lord, it means that they're waiting with a sense of expectation. They're not just sitting down waiting for God to show up. All right, God, it's 2018. 2017 was a mess. I'm just waiting here for you. God, I'm here. Are you around? Hey, just waiting. No, it means that we're waiting with a sense of expectation. Like, that changes your mindset when you think about it, right? Like, if you have kids, last Monday was Christmas Day. Right? Regardless of how, unless you probably have teenagers who don't want to get up before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right? But if you got littles, as we call them in our house, like they're up early, ready for Christmas morning. All week, Michaela has slept in, our youngest is 9. She slept in all week till like 8, which is super late for her. Christmas morning, she was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Thank God she waited till 6:30 to come into our room. And then it was like, get up. Like, I've been downstairs. I've counted all the presents. I know how many's there. I know how we each got one person. I've entertained myself for an hour and a half. Get up, right? It's Christmas morning. She was waiting with expectation. Kim and I didn't go to bed until super late because we were up wrapping presents until, I don't even know, right? We went to bed super late. We just probably fell asleep, really. Michaela's like, get up, right? She's waiting with expectation. She can't wait for Christmas morning. And there's something special about Christmas when your kids are smaller because it's just a different mindset. And so she was just waiting with expectation for Christmas morning. And so when Isaiah says, they who wait upon the Lord, it means that we're waiting with this sense of expectation. We're waiting for His help. We're putting our trust in Him. We're putting our hope and our confidence in Him and what He's doing. And maybe you're a patient person, and maybe you're an impatient person, or you're this weird hybrid that you're patient about some things and impatient about other things. That's me. Be the father of 4 girls and have 5 women in my house all the time. I am a very patient man, right? When it comes to CityPlace, I'm not patient. Like, I want things to happen. Like, we planted this church and I want it to grow and I want this to happen and that to happen and I see this and I see that. And you guys know, I tell you all the time that I'm a dreamer and I see things 10 years down the road and it's like, well, we're not there yet. Well, can we just fast forward, right? So I'm patient in some areas of my life, impatient in some areas of my life. But when we just wait upon the Lord with this sense of expectation, when we put our trust and our hope in Him, it changes things a little bit. But that's the key. He can't renew our strength. He can't help us soar like an eagle. He can't help us do any of the other things we're going to look at here in just a second until we wait upon the Lord, those that are waiting upon Him. It says that they shall renew their strength. The idea behind that term is to change, to alter, to revive, to renew so that it can flourish again. A couple weeks ago, we were in our Joy to the World series as we were leading up to Christmas. I shared with you the idea of Jesus is the vine and we are the branches, and we talked about pruning, and we talked about pruning seasons that we may go through in our life and how you have to prune a plant in order for it to grow, and how God has to prune our lives. And sometimes it hurts and sometimes it's painful, but at the end of it, if we'll go through the pruning process, that it will be better. We'll be renewed. We'll be revived. And so that they'll renew our strength. It means that if we will put our faith in God, if we will put our trust in Him, that He's going to renew our strength. He's going to revive our strength. And then we're going to be able to deal with the day-to-day stuff that hits us in the face. The spiritual battle that we may be following or that may be hitting us. The things that we may have to contend. The victory over sin that maybe you struggle with. Like, all of that happens because He's able to renew our strength. We're able to handle the responsibilities of what God may have called us to. Whether it's to pastor a brand new church plant, or whether it's just to serve in the cafe, or whether it's to serve in Kid City, or maybe it's to serve where you serve or do what you do, whatever it may be. Like, sometimes just the drain of what we do week in and week out just here as a church, not even including your jobs. You can just kind of be a drain sometimes. But He says, man, if we'll wait upon the Lord, He'll renew our strength. He'll revive us. Give us the ability to move forward. Give us the ability to be able to do the things that we need to do so that we can live out the responsibilities of what we feel called to and what we feel responsible to. It'll help us get through the trials that life throws us. Some of you feel like you've been on trial all year long in 2017. For some of you, 2017 has been an amazing year. But man, when we wait upon the Lord with this sense of expectation, and we allow God to move in our lives, and we trust Him, we put our hope in Him, we put our confidence in Him, then things are different. He renews our strength. He revives our strength. And then we're able to face whatever it is that we need to face because we're allowing God to renew our strength. And we go stronger in our faith. We go stronger in our patience. We go stronger in our fortitude. Then we're able to become conquerors over enemies and adversaries and everything else that may come in our path. Why? Because we're allowing God to renew our strength. And so Isaiah says, "But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles." It's an interesting illustration. Like here in America, United States of America, the eagle has special symbolism. If you were in the military or anything, like the eagle is just this, to me, it's just this bird of strength. Like it's just this mysterious, like full of, it's just, you don't see a whole lot of it. It's not like you walk out to your front yard and there's an eagle sitting in your oak tree, right? Like it just doesn't, that doesn't happen. If it does, you're like, oh my gosh, right? There's an eagle, go get the kids, right? And so it's just this kind of, this mystique, I mean, it's kind of mysterious. Like you don't see it that often, and when you do, you're mesmerized by it. But they're usually up above everything else. They're flying higher than the other birds. They're up higher than anything else. Like when you see them, you just see strength. And to me, when God says, hey, listen, if you will wait upon me, because this is God's message to the people of Israel. Isaiah is just the mouthpiece for it. If you will wait upon the Lord, then He will renew your strength, and you will mount up like wings of eagles, or mount up with wings like eagles. That we'll be able to soar, that we'll be able to fly. We'll fly the most strongly, we'll fly the most swiftly, we'll fly high out of the reach of all danger. I don't know about you guys, but I like that idea. I like that symbolism. Being able to say, God, you know what? For so long I've been trying to do this in my own power. I've been trying to figure this out on my own. I've been able to try to do this. What does it look like for me to... Why am I doubting you? Why am I questioning you? Because if I'll just wait upon you, and I'll let you just move, and I'll let you just work, and I'll let you do what you do in my life, if I will just trust you, put my hope in you, put my confidence in you, I don't know if I can fully do that. And I think that's part of the problem, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. It's like, God, you get some of my trust, you get some of my hope, you get some of my confidence, but just in case you don't come through, I got this. And what if we were just all in? What if we were just like, God, you know what? Here's all my hope, here's all my confidence, I'm putting all my trust in you. I know that I can't do this without you. I may be capable of doing it, but I know that it's not going to be the way that you want it to be. He says that He'll renew our strength and we'll be able to soar like eagles. I like that idea. I don't know about you. But He says they shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. I like the idea of not being tired. You ever ask anybody, if you walked around today, you probably could even ask some of the people that were here, or you went out to lunch and you ran into some people and you asked them, how are you doing? They're probably going to give you one or two terms. This is what I'm picking up on, and I'm guilty of it too, so that's why I'm saying this. Whew, busy. So busy. Like man, Christmas and Thanksgiving and into December, and work's busy and home's busy. We're busy, man. We're really busy. Or tired. I'm really tired. Like I just got back from vacation and I'm more tired than I was before I left, right? So I'm not quite sure why that happens that way, but it does. So I'm really busy or I'm really tired. But if we wait upon the Lord, then He's going to renew our strength. We're going to be able to mount up with wings like eagles. We'll be able to run and not be weary. We'll be able to walk and not be faint. I believe the reason why we get so tired, the reason why we get so faint is because we're not doing it in His strength. We're trying to do it in our strength. If we'll just wait on Him, if we'll just put all our hope and all our confidence and all our trust and wait for God to just move in our lives, He tells us that He will strengthen us and we will not get weary and we will not get tired. You ever heard anybody say, I'm just tired of being tired, right? I don't even know what that means, but I'm just tired of being tired. It's because we're trying to do things in our own strength. We're trying to do things in our own power, or because things aren't working the way that we want them to work, or it's not going the way that we want it to go. Like we get tired. But man, what hope do we have to hang on to what Isaiah is telling the people of Israel today? It says, why are you questioning God? Like if I had to summarize these, 5 verses or 4 or 5 verses, this is the idea. Why are you questioning God? Why do you think He's abandoned you? Why do you think He's left you? Do you not know who God is? Do you not know how strong He is? Do you not know how powerful He is? Do you not know that He's everlasting? Do you not know that you put your trust and your hope and your confidence in Him? That you won't grow faint, that you won't go weary, that you won't grow tired. He will strengthen you and you will soar like an eagle. I don't know about you, but I'm signing up for that. Like I like that. I'm a subscriber to that. Big time. Sign me up for life. That's good. And so we get this idea that the Lord is everlasting, that the Lord is everlasting, that He gives us power, and that He'll renew our strength. And as we get ready to wrap things up today, I just encourage you with this. Is that where our strength runs out, God's strength begins. That where our strength runs out, God's strength begins. If renew means to restore, to replenish, to revive, then we have an amazing opportunity to fix some things in our lives as we head into 2018. I remember somebody telling me one time, man, my life is just a mess. So we're thinking about moving to Phoenix, Arizona. Because if we move to Phoenix, we'll just get to move and everything will be better because we won't be in Lakeland anymore. I'm like, all you're doing is taking all of your issues and all of your problems to Phoenix. Like, it's not going to be any better, right? Like, unless you change some things, unless you do some things different in our lives. And I believe that this is what God gives us the opportunity to do. And 2017 comes to a close, and 2018, tonight at midnight, right? 2018 rolls in. We're not talking about what is it in our lives that we need to renew. What is it in our lives that we need to do differently in 2018? I'm not talking about resolutions. Because if any of your New Year's resolutions turn out like mine, they're broken in about 45 days. I know a couple people that have made a New Year's resolution and have stuck with it like forever. Like it changed their life. So I'm not talking about a resolution. Last year, we talked about resolutions. This same service, New Year's Eve, kicked off this new series talking about New Year's resolutions and how we didn't want to make resolutions, but we wanted to make promises because resolutions can be broken. Promises don't usually get broken. Something different. So I'm not sure what's going on in your lives this morning. I'm not sure what's broken. I'm not sure what needs to be fixed. I don't know every aspect of every one of your lives. There's more of you that I know some more about your lives than others. But maybe it's a relationship with a family member. Maybe it's a relationship with your child. Maybe it's a relationship with a friend or a coworker. Maybe there needs to be something renewed, refreshed there. Maybe your faith. Maybe your faith needs to be renewed this morning. Maybe you say, man, Pastor Kevin, like I was following God for a long time in my life and then I hit some hard times and God didn't come through for me, so I just kind of faded away in my relationship with Him and I just need to renew that. Or maybe you're here this morning, you don't have a relationship with Him at all, and you're like, man, I just need to start like fresh. Like, I don't even know what it means to follow Christ with my life. Like, what does that even mean to be a Christian or a follower of Jesus? Like, maybe your faith needs to be renewed. Maybe your finances need to be renewed in 2018. A few weeks ago, we did this series, right? The ABCs of financial freedom, and we walked you through what does it look like for us to take you through that. And we gave books away for free so that if you needed it, you wanted to read it. We ran out, so we've got more. I ordered more, and they're here. They're on the connections table. So as you leave today, if you didn't get a book and you need one, take one. It's what God sees for your finances and how to handle your finances God's way. It'll change your life. So maybe your finances need to be renewed. Maybe your marriage needs to be renewed. Maybe you need to say, hey, you know what? Things are crazy and things are busy and we're tired and we've got kids everywhere and all this stuff, but we're going to make a commitment in 2018 that once a month we're going to do date night. Because date nights are important. If you're married and you don't do a date night, shame on you. Do a date night. Maybe you're like, hey, you know what? We haven't gotten away as a couple in a long year, in many, many years, and so we're just going to go away as a couple without the kids or without anybody, just dad and mom or Kevin and Kim, right? Like, can I be Kevin today? Yeah, I don't have to be the pastor or any, I can just be your husband? Okay, cool, I like that. We're going to go away this weekend, and we're just going to spend a weekend away. Kim and I took a trip this 2017 to Seattle for 5 days. It's the first time we've been away by ourselves since our honeymoon, like for that long of a time. It was 20 years ago. It was amazing. It was great. So maybe you need to renew your marriage. Maybe you just need to renew your attitude, an attitude towards life, an attitude towards school, an attitude towards your job, whatever it is. Maybe you need to renew your attitude a little bit. Whatever it is, whatever it may be for you, let's not put it off any longer. Let's start today fresh. Let's look at 2018 and figure out what areas of our life need to be renewed. Because here's what I know. How encouraging is it to know that you don't have to rely on your own strength. You don't have to rely on your own strength. You don't have to rely on the strength of your spouse or of your friend or a coworker or a best friend or a sister or a brother or your children. You don't have to rely on anyone else's strength but His. And that if we'll just put our trust and our hope and our confidence in who God is, and He's going to strengthen us to the point that we can soar like an eagle. Amen. Because here's what I know. That how much better would our lives be when we renew those areas in our life that need to be renewed as we take a step into 2018 tomorrow. We renew the things in our lives that need to be changed, those things that need to be better. Life is just going to be better because we're relying on Him and not ourselves. So where our strength runs out, God's strength begins. So this morning, I just want to ask you to close your eyes for just a moment.